IELTS Listening, version 50032. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. Write all your answers in the listening question booklet. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1 on page 2 of your question booklet. Part 1. You will hear a man phoning to book a place on a weekend course. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, Stanley House Courses.
Oh, hello. I'm ringing to book a place on one of your weekend courses.
Very good. Which course are you interested in?
Well, a guitar one. I think it was a workshop, actually.
That's right. And when did you want to come?
Well, I was thinking of the weekend of July the 16th, if there's room then.
Let me just check. Oh, the 16th is a Wednesday. Did you mean the 18th?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was looking at the wrong month.
No problem. Yes, you're in luck. There are 3 places left there, so I'll put you down for one. So the code for that is Q1632.
Okay.
That's just for our reference. So now for a few details. Can I just check if you've done any of our weekend courses before?
Yes, in fact I have. I did one last September. It was on photographs. We learnt about editing them. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, that's always a popular course. So your details will be on the computer already. Let me see. If I can just have your name, please.
It's Nick Poskitt. That's Poskitt.
Oh, that's an unusual name, isn't it? Right, here we are. So is your address still 27 Hawthorne Road?
Oh, it's Hawthorne Way, actually.
OK, I'll correct that now. And it's Bristol BS4 2QG?
That's right.
Lovely. And the next thing I need from you is a contact phone number.
OK, that's 07707 438 297.
Thanks. That's just in case we need to get hold of you in an emergency. Now, if you've stayed with us before, you'll know that our guests all stay in shared accommodation, and we've had quite a lot of requests lately for people to be put in with someone of a similar age. So can I ask how old you are?
Sure, I'm 26.
And can I ask your occupation?
Engineer. I wish I could say musician, but maybe one day.
Let's hope so.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
OK, so now about meals. Do you have any special dietary requirements?
Well, I don't like any sort of fish. I'm fine with everything else.
That's fine. I'll make a note of that. OK, and if I could ask you just one more question about the course, Nick?
Sure.
On the Saturday afternoon, you can choose to have an individual one-to-one lesson on one particular aspect of guitar playing. So you can choose jazz guitar?
Probably not.
Or there's blues?
Yes, maybe.
Or rock?
That sounds good, but no, I think I'll go for the second one.
OK, fine.
I didn't know we had individual classes. It didn't mention that in the information I read about the course.
Where did you actually find out about us?
Well, this time I just looked on your website, but I originally found out about you from a magazine.
Right, yes, we'll have to update the website, but our prices are up to date.
So it's still £370?
That's right. Before I take your card details, is there anything else I can help you with?
Well, last time I came, I travelled by train, and someone met me at the station, but this time I'll be driving. So will there be parking available?
I'll see what I can do. I can't promise it, but I'll do my best. It's a good thing you mentioned it, actually, as places are limited.
Great.
Right, so if there's nothing else, I'll just take your credit card number.
OK, it's 78956.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear a talk on the radio about a local festival called the Denford Festival. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
I'd like to welcome Sam Goodwin to the programme. He's one of the organisers of this year's Denford Festival. So, Sam, what can you tell us about what's happening this year?
Well, as usual, the festival will take place during the first weekend in August, and there will be things going on all over the town. There are a number of separate areas, each with their own special attraction and atmosphere. Let's start with Bridge Street. Local school children took part in a competition to paint pictures of the local landscape, and you'll be able to see all their work displayed here. The winning entries have also been made into postcards that you can buy at one of the stalls. At Kings Park, we've built a climbing wall, and there'll also be an inflatable bouncy castle for kids to burn off excess energy. Both are going to be supervised by volunteer teachers at all times, so parents can go off and enjoy other parts of the festival. There's a lot happening in Oakvale School. If you're over 18, there's an exciting contest to take part in here. You'll have an hour to prepare your favourite food or dish, and the prizes will be presented by our special guest, the singer Maria Thompson. On Green Road, we'll have some top local groups performing and singing throughout the day until 5. including the Denford Choir, who've just come back from a really successful tour of Australia and New Zealand. And finally, I'll mention Sun Lane. We want you to leave the festival with more than good memories and a full stomach, so we'd encourage everyone to go to Sun Lane, where we'll have a number of experts giving tips and advice on how to successfully grow your own fruit and vegetables. You never know, maybe next year we'll be showing your produce.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Thank you, Sam. That all sounds really interesting. And you've got some practical information for us.
Yes, this year's festival will be bigger than ever, judging by ticket sales so far. Tickets can be purchased from our website or at the festival on the day, although those will cost a bit more. The tickets give you free entry to most areas, although you do need to pay extra to get into some of the special events. We're doing something different this year on the final evening of the festival. We usually have a big firework display, but it's proven too expensive this year. So instead, we're holding a dance for everyone who wants to come. That's going to be in the local theatre, where we'll clear away all the chairs to give us plenty of room. It should be great fun. We're expecting a large number of international visitors, so you'll be hearing a lot of different languages around the festival this year. And we've organised a help desk to advise people on finding accommodation if they need it. We'll also be offering day trips to points of interest in the region at very reasonable prices. If you do decide to drive, there are 2 festival car parks. Car Park A to the north and Car Park B in the east. Car Park B is in the middle of town, so it usually fills up very quickly. From Car Park A, there is a 15-minute walk along the river to the town centre. It takes a little longer to get to the festival, but it's twice the size of B, and it's a nice flat walk. There's one more change I'd like to tell you about. Last year, we sent out nearly 30,000 free programs with the tickets, and we're aware of both the cost and the environmental impact of this. We looked into having an app instead, but that was too expensive. So, in the end, we decided to put the program on our website and save that way. You'll still be able to pick up a hard copy at the festival if you want.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear a mature student on a teacher training program discussing a new course with his college lecturer. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23 on page 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23.
Dr. Williams,
Come in.
thanks.
How can I help you?
Well, I'm interested in doing the course on action research.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, first of all, I understand it's about ways of researching your own practice in your professional role so as to improve it.
That's right. And I'm afraid I must emphasise at the outset that it's only open to working teachers.
Well, I've been one for 8 years, so...
That's plenty, and
And can I ask, will you be teaching out?
yes, I've done so for many years. But the course leader will be one of our new lecturers, Alan Camner.
Oh,
He's just written a very interesting book on action research, which you should get hold of. The title is Professional Learning.
right. I think one of the other teachers in my school mentioned it. Okay. Can I ask you what will be covered on the course?
Well, the obvious aim is to develop skills in using a variety of research techniques.
Yes, of course. I'll ask you about those in more detail later.
And then there's something that's crucial to action research, and that's the skill of researching in a team.
Yes, I can say that it is very important. And what about after you've done the research? Do you do something on dissemination of findings?
Well, the last major objective is similar to that, but not quite the same. It's on presenting results as part of the wider collaborative culture.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30 on page 7. Now listen and answer questions 24 to 30.
Great. Well, that's very helpful. I can ask you about the different components.
Well, the course is organised around the data gathering techniques, and we divide them into two main types, observational and non-observational techniques. And between each session, we ask you to try out the technique for yourself in a variety of settings. The initial sessions are on using observation checklists.
Oh, yes.
And we ask you to try some out in a school so you can look at an element of a lesson such as pupil behaviour, so you can immediately apply what you've learnt to a real situation in the classroom.
Right? Somebody told me we have to keep a diary.
Yes, that's right. We ask you to keep one as a research tool.
And what's the point of that exactly?
Well, it really enhances your capacity for reflection.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
And then we've just added another observational technique to the course, which is video recording.
I have tried that already with colleagues. I have to say with only limited success.
Yes, that's been our experience too, especially at the beginning. So we decided to get you to try this technique out with your fellow students in classroom simulation, which I think you'll agree.
That has fewer problems, yes.
And then we have sessions examining what we call non-observational techniques. And rather controversially, we start with ways of scrutinising test results.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yes, but we think these can yield some very valuable insights. We ask you to bring along statistics relating to your own students for this.
Oh, that should be easy. I have to say I quite enjoy that kind of analysis.
Yes. And then we look at using questionnaires.
Oh, yes. I've done 1 or 2 projects involving those. I used one local teachers' resource group, but I've never felt that I've used them as effectively as I should have done so.
Well, that is a common comment from our participants. And we thought we'd open things up a bit this year with a different approach and use the internet in order to identify respondents. Obviously, we'd explain more about how that will work closer to the time.
Great. Look forward to that. And will there be anything on interviews?
That's really the last major section, and we ask you to choose your own respondents for that as part of a final project.
Great. Well, that's been really helpful, Dr. Williams. Thank you.
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Part 4. You will hear a lecture about the effects of the digital world on young people. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
In today's lecture, I'm going to talk about digital technology, especially the changes occurring due to the rapid spread of digital technology in the last decade of the 21st century. First, what is digital technology? Well, digital technology includes any computer-related devices like mobile phones, the internet, email, instant messaging, and so on. This lecture is based on the opinions of Mark Prensky and what he believes are the main effects that high exposure to digital technology has had on young people today. Prensky believes that because today's young people have been born into a digital world and spent a long time simply playing with technology, they have changed in fundamental ways. He thinks they are evolving differently, and as a result, processing information differently from the last generations. These young people's brains may have physically changed, although no clear evidence exists. Prensky believes that we humans can be divided into digital natives and digital immigrants. Of course, today's young people belong to the group of digital natives because they were born into this new digital age and grew up just as native speakers of the digital language of computer technology. However, digital immigrants are the people born in the generations before the digital age. When people learn a second language, they often retain their foreign accent. It is the same with digital immigrants. They aren't quite as effective at speaking the digital language as the natives are. Prensky illustrates this in detail. For example, instead of using the internet as a primary source of information, digital immigrants prefer finding phone numbers with a phone book or looking up information in an encyclopedia. Prensky refers to this as the digital accent. Another example of the digital accent is scanning a manual for a computer program, but the program itself will teach you how to use it. People with a digital accent always rely on their original non-digital means of sourcing information. They prefer doing things as they've always done, rather than typing something into a computer. Due to this, Prensky predicts it will bring many changes, especially in education. Other educators and theorists, such as Thompson Allen, Samuel James, and Peter Vander, also give their opinions. Samuel James is a famous educator from the University of Sydney. He agrees with Prensky's idea that today's educators are no longer thriving in how they teach. However, some more traditional theorists, like Peter Vander and Thompson Allen, don't agree. They criticize many of Prensky's assertions. Vander argues that a typical classroom is much more different from what Prensky believes, with students from various backgrounds. He believes that many of these students are not necessarily proficient with technology. Then, Allen adds his opinion that even though most students in modern times can access computers at home or school easily, some don't find the digital medium appealing. However, James disagrees. He argues that all today's students share the same basic, interesting knowledge of digital technology. However, even so, James believes that our younger students can communicate with their digital immigrant teachers and still learn with the teaching methods that were quite effective in the past. Allen believes that both digital natives and digital immigrants have to process a large amount of information in today's digital world. He thinks that although most young students today are good at playing computer games or surfing the internet, they use computers in important ways. They are not used to using computers at advanced levels, for example, to carry out complex information searches, which are essential for university study today. Unlike Allen's research, James believes that computer games can play an important role in the classroom. For example, teachers can combine interesting computer games with the lessons to attract students' attention. However, Vander has different opinions. He argues that teachers are always the leading part of the classroom, and no computer program comes close to doing what a human teacher does every day. As a result, we should think of better ways to assist teachers rather than focusing on developing games.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.